Good morning. My name is Ahmed. I am a Government Affairs and Public Policy Officer at the National Council of Canadian Muslims. This morning I'm joined by Imam Sikandar Hashmi, Executive Director for the Canadian Council of Imams, to talk to Canadians about an extremely important issue that concerns Canada's charitable sector, supported by over 200 organizations and charities across Canada. For years, Muslim charities, community leaders, academics, and various allies have raised serious concerns about how the Canada Revenues Agency's RAD, Review and Analysis Division, has unfairly and disproportionately targeted Muslim-led charities under the guise of national security. Earlier this month, the publication of a critical report by national security watchdog and CRA, the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency, sadly confirmed these criticisms and warnings from our communities, partners, and allies. This is deeply troubling. It points to systemic Islamophobia within an important federal agency. The NCRA report paints a deeply troubling picture. Between 2009 and 2022, nearly two-thirds of audited charities were Muslim-led and approximately one-fifth were Sikh. Today, over 200 organizations and charities have joined our call to the federal government urging immediate change. Firstly, these audits were, according to the NCRA report, often launched without clear justification, and there were no safeguards in place to detect or prevent bias. Secondly, the RAD's audits were often unable to justify their original suspicions, triggering criticisms from the unit's own post-audit evaluations. Thirdly, the RAD's agents did not obtain the most up-to-date intelligence to ensure accuracy in the work. The report shows that, had they done so, some targeted charities, some Muslim, others not, would have been exonerated. Lastly, the report clearly states that RAD's records keeping is so poor that it cannot begin to answer the charge that it may be endangering or violating the charter-protected rights of various charities. In short, NCRA found that the mechanisms for accountability within the CRA's national security-related auditing functions are effectively non-existent. Rather than protecting the integrity of Canada's charitable sector, these practices have eroded trust and undermined confidence in public institutions. And we highly encourage the public and all those watching today to read the entire NCRA report. Because despite the gravity of these findings, the CRA's response has been wholly inadequate. By dismissing key recommendations and offering only superficial assurances of progress, the agency has deepened the mistrust it has sown within racialized community. To claim reform while the same communities continue to be disproportionately scrutinized is not progress, it is denial. The Review and Analysis Division, or the RAD, their entire structure and purpose have been shown to be fundamentally unaccountable. A unit that systematically surveils and penalizes racialized communities racialized charities without due cause cannot continue to exist within a just democratic government. And just as importantly, it is wildly inefficient to spend taxpayer dollars on an agency that has been remarkably ineffective at keeping Canadians safe and ensuring an appropriate regulatory regime for the charitable sector. We therefore call on the Government of Canada to take the following immediate steps. Firstly, include in Budget 2025 dedicated funding and to enshrine in legislation that the Office of the Taxpayer's Ombudsperson, or the OTO, should serve as an independent oversight body for the CRA. Second, pause and dismantle the CRA's Review and Analysis Division, or RAD, and replace it with a new body that upholds equity, transparency, and the rule of law in compliance with our FATF, or Financial Action Task Force, obligations. And lastly, fully implement all recommendations of the NCRA report within the CRA, but in the context of a new regime in place of the RAD. The time for reports has passed. The findings are clear, the harms are ongoing, and the responsibility now rests with our government. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Imam Sikandar.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Imam Sikandar Hashmi. I serve as the Executive Director of the Canadian Council of Imams and also as an Imam in the Ottawa area. The Canadian Council of Imams represents Imams and Muslim faith leaders from coast to coast to coast. For Canadians who may not be familiar, charities are the backbone of the Muslim life in this country. Our mosques, community centers, and humanitarian relief organizations are not just religious institutions. They are where children learn, families gather, youth find belonging, and neighbors and those who are less fortunate around the world get help when they're in need. These institutions make it possible for our community to contribute, to serve, and to thrive as part of Canada's social fabric. We also take pride with gratefulness in the generosity of Muslims in Canada. Studies show that Muslim charitable organizations in Canada collectively raise close to $500 million annually, making up a significant share of Canada's charitable ecosystem. Available data on charitable giving in Canada suggests that Muslim donors are highly engaged and prioritize giving, often surpassing the general population in their level of financial contributions. Their giving habits are strongly influenced by Islamic teachings on charity, which also shape the types of causes that they support, such as feeding the hungry and taking care of those who are suffering. This is not just about faith. It's about civic contribution, solidarity with the vulnerable, and helping Canada live up to its best values. But the recent CRA report confirms what our community has been saying for years. The Canada Revenue Agency's Review and Analysis Division, or RAD, has taken a disproportionate and deeply flawed approach to Muslim charities. The report shows that RAD repeatedly targeted Islamic charities, often without credible evidence or clear justification, and relied on outdated information and weak documentation. This is not about a few mistakes. It's about a systemic problem that has caused real harm to real people. When a mosque spends years under audit, when volunteers and community leaders are tied up answering investigators instead of serving people, when a relief charity loses its ability to issue tax receipts, it's the community that pays the price. It's the children who lose programs, the families who lose support, and the donors who lose trust. You can't build trust by targeting those who build community. And you can't protect Canada by weakening the very people who make it stronger. No charity, Muslim or otherwise, should fear being unfairly targeted because of who they are or where they send humanitarian aid. Oversight is important, but it must be fair, transparent, and evidence-based. Right now, many Canadian Muslims feel like their generosity is treated as a threat. That's not how you build trust in Canada. That's how you break it. We're asking for accountability, for the government to implement NCRA's recommendations in full, introduce real oversight of the CRA, and ensure that risk assessments are guided by facts, not bias. The goal here is not to weaken oversight. The goal is to restore trust. Because when one community is unfairly singled out, every Canadian's trust in our institutions is weakened. Systemic Islamophobia has no place in a Canada that believes in fairness, justice, and equality before the law. It's time to end it, not just in words, but in action. Thank you.
Ian Bailey, Globe Mail. The budget is out less than a week from now. What do you think of the odds that your request for action in the budget is actually going to occur? I mean, the budget's probably printed and pretty much ready to go.
Thank you for the question. Today is just about reiterating the call that we've been making for a long time, including when the NCRA report had come out, and indicating to the government how bolstered this call is by more than 200 organizations, from Muslim-led charities to Muslim community organizations to Sikh organizations, so on and so forth, a plethora of various Canadian communities coming together to support this call. So our conversations are ongoing, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Who are you talking to? And that one, and then one other follow-up to that. Who are you talking to about these matters, your concerns?
About the CRA? Having conversations with the Finance Ministry.
And if your calls for action are not met, what's the next step to sort of have your concerns addressed? If in a month from now, or 2 months from now, none of your asks have been met, what's the next step to sort of see action on this?
We'll continue, advocating for this persistently and cooperatively with the government. Simple as that. Yeah. And we'll show them that Canadians are in support of this, are in support of reform.
If I can just...
of course, please do. Yeah.
Yeah, great questions. We know this is a government that likes to act quickly, and we believe that the time that you're talking about with the budget, being so close, is not an impediment. If the government is serious about taking action, they can take action right now. And this is a priority for the Muslim community in Canada, which is significant. And these charities that we're talking about play a significant role in the well-being of Muslims in Canada. So we expect that the government will take this seriously and will act as soon as possible. And with regards to, what happens if these asks are not met, well, there are different tools available in our toolkits. We've had instances where charities have taken action and have gotten results, and that toolkit continues to exist.
What's in the toolkit?
Well, there's a number of tools available. So, for example, advocacy is an important one. But of course, we know that there's legal avenues that are available that have been utilized. There's a number of tools available, all of which, of course, which I can't divulge. But it's time that the government takes action on this. It's important to the Muslim community. It's important to our organizations, to our charities. And sooner or later, this change needs to happen. Sooner the better.
What have you thought of the CRA has responded to this over the last few weeks? What have you thought of their response to these matters?
The CRA response is perhaps, sounds nice, good to read. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is action, right? And unless and until we have concrete action that we see that demonstrates that the CRA and the government are serious about this issue, words are just words until then.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci. C'est ce qui conclut cette conférence de presse.
Recording stopped.